Pandora Papers, and heads of government. The world of business has its many own stories and legends, and while a lot of them are tales of great success and innovation, there are also great misdeeds and revelations of catastrophic and global dimensions. After all, heads of industry and masters of the universe aren't called sharks for nothing. More often than not, these are involved with under-the-table dealings, breaking of international laws, profiteering, insider trading, human resource exploitation, tax evasion, or even connections to the seedy underbelly of the criminal underworlds. But very rarely do all of these happen to get caught simultaneously. Well, not too long ago, something just like that happened. In 2016, an international journalistic exposé that's come to be known as the Panama Papers revealed a vast and interconnected web of corruption and money laundering that involved some of the biggest names in politics and businesses at the time, all through the services provided by a certain corporate law firm called Mossack Fonseca. The documents contained personal financial information about wealthy individuals and public officials that had previously been kept private. Now, usually offshore banking is perfectly legal, but like we said, most of these accounts that were getting away with not paying millions and millions in taxes that would have certainly helped their countries were intertwined with hundreds of cases of legal activities. Anyways, that was just a one-time deal, right? Just a bad apple in the big bunch of international business? Well, not quite. Enter Panama Papers 2, Electric Boogaloo, which come to be known as the Pandora Papers. Pandora Papers. So, what exactly are the Pandora Papers? Well, it's a lot like its older brother, the Panama Papers. It consists of an international journalistic investigation carried out mainly by the ICIJ. That's the International Consortium of Investigative Journalism for our younger audience. To be more precise, it's a leak of nearly millions of digital documents investigated by the largest joint journalistic task force in history, another marvel of the internet, that spans over 35 current and former world leaders, more than 330 politicians and public officials in 91 countries and territories, and a global lineup of fugitives, con artists, and murderers. The secret documents expose offshore dealings of the King of Jordan, the presidents of Ukraine, Kenya, and Ecuador, the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. The files also detail financial activities of Russian President Vladimir Putin's unofficial Minister of Propaganda and more than 130 billionaires. Now that's a fat bank of a list from Russia, the United States, Turkey, and other nations. The leaked records reveal that many of the power players who could help bring an end to the offshore system instead benefit from it, stashing assets in covert companies and trusts while their governments did little to slow a global stream of illicit money that enriches criminals and impoverishes nations. You know, just a regular day in the dealings of most corrupt private and public sector leaders. Yeah. Some of the goodies found to be related to these findings are a $22 million chateau in the French Riviera, replete with a cinema and 2 swimming pools, purchased through offshore companies by the Czech Republic's populist prime minister, a billionaire who has rallied against the corruption of economic and political elites. More than $13 million tucked in a secrecy-shaded trust in the Great Plains of the United States by a scion of one of Guatemala's most powerful families, a dynasty that controls a soap and lipsticks conglomerate that's been accused of harming workers and the environment. Not 1, not 2, but 3 beachfront mansions in Malibu purchased through not 1, not 2, but 3 different offshore companies for $68 million by the King of Jordan in the years after Jordanians filled the streets during Arab Spring to protest joblessness and corruption. The Pandora Papers are also different from their Panamanian counterparts in that they also involve not just one law firm, but a whole slew of them. And also, naturally, the amount of money, profit, and earnings evaded in taxes is much, much, much larger. We're talking approximately $32 trillion. That's trillions, with a T. For too much money, you guys! Oh my goodness, holy moly! That's literally more than one can imagine! Now, like we said before, there's nothing inherently evil or wrong with offshore holding. It's a common business practice. But to put it in the words of the good people at the ICIJ, in an era of widening authoritarianism and inequality, the Pandora Papers investigation provides an unequaled perspective on how money and power operate in the 21st century, and how the rule of law has been bent and broken around the world by a system of financial secrecy enabled by the US and other wealthy nations. Pandora Papers VIPs. Now, try to guess what Colombian pop star Shakira, cricket superstar Sachin Tendulkar, a mobster called Lel the Fat One, and the Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates have in common. You probably got it on the first try given the circumstances. That's right, smarty pants. All of their names appear on the millions of documents that the Pandora Papers report covers. We're talking offshore companies, incognito bank accounts, private jets, yachts, mansions, even artworks by Picasso, Banksy, and other masters, and of course, millions of green stacks. And some of these names are literally just the tip of the real deep and rich iceberg. Hips might not lie, but tax returns certainly can, huh? Today we're going to focus on just a couple of these heads and former heads of state to illustrate a bit of our point about the whole, terrible corruption that plagues the world of international financing in the public sector. But if you want to hear some more about all the cultural and media personalities that are featured in the Pandora Papers, leave us a like and a comment letting us know. Andrej Babis, Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. First up on our list is that guy we mentioned earlier who used offshore tax-lax cash to buy himself a cozy little $32 million villa while railing on the dangers of corruption and materialism. We're talking, of course, of Andrej Babis, the PM for the Czech Republic. As a matter of fact, with a lengthy business career, he rose to become the second richest man in Czechia, with an estimated net worth of about $4.04 billion, according to Bloomberg. Much of this wealth came from his time as CEO and owner of the Agrofert Group, which owns two of the largest Czech newspapers, Mladá Fronta DNES and Lidové noviny. But of course, even long before the Pandora ordeal, it was pretty well known that Babis didn't keep his nose exactly clean. He had been under investigation by both Czech police and the European Anti-Fraud Office, OLAF, great name, from 2015 to 2017, amid allegations that an anonymous company he controlled unlawfully received a €2 million subsidy from the European Regional Development Fund. In September 2017, he was stripped of his parliamentary immunity after a police request in connection with the case, and Babis was formally charged on October 9th of 2017. OLAF concluded its investigation in December 2017, stating it had found irregularities and endorsed the steps taken by the Czech police. Due to Babis' re-election, his immunity from prosecution was restored, and the Chamber of Deputies voted to lift it again on January 19th of 2018. Babis has been the subject of sustained criticism from political opponents and the media regarding a number of issues, including alleged conflicts of interest, his past role in STB, and allegations of intimidation of opponents. Not only that, very recently our Czech boy lost his diplomatic immunity once again, so needless to say, he might want to start getting himself some good lawyers. No need to worry, he probably has enough money to afford them. Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al is the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, UAE, its Minister of Defense, and ruler of the Emirate of Dubai. And if you think that's a lot of titles for one guy, hold on to your horses. More than just your average Emirate royalty billionaire, Al Maktoum generates most of his income from real estate and is described as one of the world's most prominent real estate developers. Land which is owned by him is managed as an asset of the state. There is a blurred line between the assets of the government of Dubai and those of the ruling Al Maktoum family. He oversaw the growth of Dubai into a global city, as well as the launch of a number of government-owned enterprises, including Emirates Airline, DP World, and the Jumeirah Group. Some of these are held by Dubai Holding. Sheikh Mohammed has overseen the development of certain projects in Dubai, including the creation of a technology park, a free economic zone, Dubai Internet City, Dubai Media City, the Dubai International Finance Center, the Palm Island, and the Burj Al Arab Hotel. He also drove the construction of Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. Not a bad resume, eh? All of this to say that this name on our Pandora list isn't just business royalty, but pretty much actual royalty. The leaked 11.9 million files of the Pandora Papers revealed that Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum also used offshore companies to manage and expand his wealth. In order to carry out his dealings, he secretly registered 3 companies in the tax havens of the British Virgin Islands, BVI, and the Bahamas, registered by an Emirati firm, Axiom Limited. The 3 companies were Tandem Investco Limited and Tandem Directco Limited in BVI and Allied International Investments Limited in the Bahamas. Partly owned by the Dubai Holding, in which Sheikh Mohammed owns major shares, Axiom Limited used the 3 companies to expand its core business. This is a guy that's already worth $14 billion of the good ones, mind you. And seeing as he's a central part of the autocratic state he's probably scamming, well, himself, we don't expect he'll see much consequences for his actions. Sebastian Piñera. Now, over on the other side of the pond, down under in Chile, South America, we've got Sebastian Piñera. Señor Piñera is a Chilean billionaire businessman and politician who has been president of Chile since 2018. He previously served as president from 2010 to 2014 as well. The son of a Christian Democratic politician and diplomat, he studied business engineering at the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile and economics at Harvard University. He had an estimated net worth of $2.8 billion in 2019, according to Forbes, making him one of the richest people in Chile. He's also had a long history of legal disputes along his business career. Piñera was general manager of the Banco de Talca. In 1982, a warrant was issued for his arrest on charges of violating banking law, in an event where over $38 million were not paid to the Central Bank of Chile, Piñera being the Banco de Talca's CEO. The money disappeared and was never paid. Piñera spent 24 days in hiding while his brother, José Piñera, appealed the court, making some calls to underestimate the crime. A writ of habeas corpus, first rejected by the appeals court but then approved by the Supreme Court, acquitted Piñera. Piñera once owned 90% of Chilevision, a terrestrial television channel broadcasting nationwide. He also owned 27% of LAN Airlines, 13% of Colo Colo, a soccer club, and other minor stock positions in companies such as Quinienco, Enersis, and Soquimich. In July 2007, Piñera was fined approximately $680,000 by Chile's securities regulator, SVS, for not withdrawing a purchase order after receiving privileged information, an infraction similar to insider trading, of LAN Airlines stock in mid-2006. Later that month, he resigned from the boards of LAN and Quintec. To avoid a conflict of interest, he sold Chilevision for a pretty penny of $160 million in 2010 to Time Warner. In more Pandora-related news, Piñera took money from a prominent mining executive in exchange for government support for Minera Dominga, a controversial mining investment project located in an environmentally sensitive area. The mining executive in question is Piñera's childhood friend Carlos Alberto Delano of Andes Iron. Piñera's family and other investors allegedly made a 1,000%, yeah, you heard right, 1,000% profit over an 18-month period on the project that required approval from Piñera's government, which is pretty convenient when you think about it since he's, well, the president. Also conveniently, Piñera's business manager said that Piñera had not been in control of his own companies for about 12 years and that he was not aware of the sale of Minera Dominga to his friend Carlos Alberto Delano. So, with all this said and done, whose name do you think will pop up next time we take a look at Pandora's box? Do you think this time around there will be bigger legal repercussions for those involved? Tell us what you think down in the comments. And remember, there's always a paper trail.